Hey, and welcome to Fun Swedish in our YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the 4 seasons in Swedish. And these are höst, vinter, vår och sommar. Anyway, before we learn all about the Swedish seasons, let's learn first how to say season in Swedish. The Swedish word for season is årstid. And this really means year time. So when we ask for the season, what season it is, we actually say, what year time is it? Vilken årstid är det? What year time is it? Very weird way to ask, but that's how we see the world. Because a season for us is a year time. Let's start with the first one, höst, because Sweden is now entering the höst, the fall. And don't mix up this word höst with the word häst, horse. These damn vowels can mess up everything, and you can end up saying it's horse now, det är häst nu, instead of saying det är höst nu, it's fall now. So what do we define as höst? This depends on who you ask. If you ask the Swedish meteorologer, they would say that it is when the daily temperature is less than 10 degrees Celsius during 5 days in a row. In Sweden, we use Celsius when we talk about the temperature. And we just had to use Celsius because Celsius was actually a Swedish guy. He was an astronomer and he invented this Celsius scale. And his name was Anders Celsius. So tack så mycket Anders. Thank you Anders for changing the world and how we measure temperature. Next, årstid, vinter. That's why I'm wearing this hat. Winter på svenska is called vinter. So it's basically a very similar word, just that we like to write it with a V instead. So that's why it's called vinter. Vinter. So let's talk a little bit about the Swedish vinter. Den är mörk, väldigt mörk och kall, especially in the north of Sweden. So, what Swedish is famous for is the cold winter, since we're so high up in the world. And to survive this cold, den här kalla vintern, to survive this cold winter, we need to use a lot of candles. So that's why we're so obsessed with all these candles, because the candles give this cozy, this mysig feeling, so that we can survive these long, dark winters. The definition of winter in Sweden is when it's 0 or less degrees more than 5 days in a row. And 0 degrees Celsius is nothing for us. We are actually used of -0 or maybe even -40 in the north of Sweden. It's crazy. And a lot of people might ask, how the hell can you survive this? And the answer is, det finns inget dåligt väder, bara dåliga kläder. This is an expression we learn in school, and it basically means get your shit together and go out. Just put on a mössa and tjocktröja and you should be all fine. Because this expression means there's no bad weather, only bad clothing. So don't complain, just go out. And this expression or mentality is something that we are taught since we are small children in school. Because in school in Sweden or in kindergarten, we have to go out all the time. The only situation we are not allowed to go out is if it's more than -10 degrees. Otherwise, you can't complain. Det finns inget dåligt väder, bara dåliga kläder. But to be fair, another thing that also helps us survive this cold climate is that the climate is quite dry here, especially in Stockholm. So when it is -10, it actually doesn't feel so cold. And it's also not so windy here. So maybe it depends where you live, but if you compare to other countries where maybe you have more of a humid climate, then -10 would feel even more. But since it's more dry here, it's not so cold. At least it doesn't feel so cold. But we're still wearing our gloves and our winter jacket and our beanie, vår mössa. So good to know that even if it looks like it's super cold, -10, it's not that cold actually. And then another thing that is a big difference from other countries is the central heating. In Sweden, all the houses and all the buildings are prepared for the winter. So we have a system of central heating that makes the apartments or houses very, very warm inside. I think it's kind of a standard thing that it has to be around 22 or 23 degrees Celsius inside. So actually inside in Sweden, in my house, I don't wear this beanie. I take it off and I will only wear flip-flops or even without any socks and a t-shirt under, because it's actually very, very warm inside. So the hassle is that you need to put on your mössa when you go out all the time and all your winter clothing. But inside it's very, very warm. So this makes us survive the cold winter. Next season is vår. Vår is how we say spring in Swedish. And this is the season where all the Swedes get crazy. De blir galna. And this is because we are coming from a long, dark, dark winter. So any kind of sunshine or sunbeam makes us go crazy. And we want to be outside all the time, even if it's only 10 degrees. Because actually 10 degrees more than 5 days in a row is enough to call it spring in Sweden. Another interesting thing with the word vår is that it means spring, but it can also mean hour. So it's the same word, but for different things. So you can actually say vår, and that means our spring. And our word for was is var, so basically the A, but without the dot on the top. So you can say vår var, our spring was, and then maybe you want to add an adjective, nice, fin. So you can say vår var fin, and that is a perfect sentence in Swedish, and it means our spring was nice. Vår var fin. Next season, sommar, summer in Swedish. This word is actually quite similar to the English one, just that we write it with an O, sommar. And since it's sommar, I'm wearing my solglasögon. Solglasögon, which actually is how we say sunglasses. But if you look at this word, it actually means sunglass eyes. I'm wearing my sunglass eyes. Solglasögon, sunglasses. And Swedish summers are very special. Nowadays, due to global warming, they're becoming a little bit warmer. So don't be surprised if you are in Sweden, and especially in Stockholm, it can actually become 30 degrees. And summer are very special. I like that we have a sunlight now, just because we're talking about summer. The sun came out. Yay! I get crazy because I'm a Swede. Anyway, the summers in Sweden are very special. Nowadays, due to global warming, it's actually becoming a bit warmer. So don't be surprised if it can become more than 30 degrees Celsius in Sweden during summer. But this will only be for one day. Because normally, the normal temperature in Sweden in summer is somewhere in between 15 och 25 and 25. So that's basically it. So don't expect tropical summer in Sweden. That's super rare. And what makes Sweden so special in summer is not the temperature, but the light, the midnight sun, midnattssolen. This basically means that the nights are very, very short and the days are very, very long. And the more north you go up in Sweden, the more extreme it is. So in the north, the sun never goes down in summer. This is very special. In Stockholm, where I'm from, it's not so extreme, but here in the summer, especially around midsummer, then the sun goes down around 10 or 11, and then it comes up again around 3 in the morning. So you will see if you go here that it's light all the time, or at least it feels like that. And it's very, very hard to sleep because of this midnight sun. But Swedish people also love this a lot. So that was the 4 årstider på svenska. Those were the 4 seasons in Swedish. Hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to put a like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos. And also, if you want, leave a comment in the section below about your experience in Sweden, about the different seasons or anything, any question about this video. Tack så mycket! Ha en fin höst, have a nice fall, which is what we have here in Sweden now. Höst, not häst. Hej då!